From the BBC World Service, in association with ABC and Akashvani, this is Stumped.
Hello, I'm Nikesh Ragani and welcome to Stumped. I'm joined by the ABC's Jim Maxwell in Sydney and Charu Sharma from Akashvani is in Pondicherry. Now, England will host the next three editions of the World Test Championship finals in 2027, 2029 and 2031. All three WTC finals so far have been held in England, with South Africa beating Australia in this year's showpiece at Lord's in June. The ICC said it awarded hosting rights to the England and Wales Cricket Board following a successful track record in hosting recent finals. Charu, it had been reported that India were hoping to stage the next final in 2027. So how has this news gone down there?
Not well to begin with, but people are still sort of wondering whether this is a decision that's been taken as 100% confirmed or whether it can still change, because stranger things have been known to happen. The timing of the World Test Championship obviously suits the Northern Hemisphere. And India would be quite happy to host this because of just the kind of attention that cricket gets in India, and perhaps for commercial reasons as well. But I do think they've been very successfully held in England. And so a lot of people are possibly also of the opinion that, why shake down something that's worked so well? What's the Americanism here? Or why fix it when it ain't broke?
That's certainly the way the reports have come out so far. England have done it so well. I mean, Jim, you were at Lord's for June's final. Whether it be Lord's or somewhere else, do you feel England or London in particular is the right venue for the occasion? I mean, it's been argued that it is because, whether it's India, whether it's Australia, South Africa, whoever makes the final, there are so many expats living in London that both teams would be really well supported in the final. What would you make of that?
We have to apply some logic here. I'd like to know how many people would turn up to the final of the World Test Championship if South Africa played New Zealand in Delhi. I tell you, a lot more would turn up to watch it at Lord's or the Oval, or even Sydney or Melbourne. So, no, I think in terms of the timing, the place, England's the place to do this. Really is. You got most bases covered, and you can't argue with the three games we've had so far. We've got three results, perhaps not the results we were expecting on each occasion. No, I think England's definitely the place in the middle of the northern summer. Of the English fans, particularly on the smaller grounds there than Ahmedabad and MCG, they're going to fill the ground. It is working well. Let's keep it going and until someone comes up with an equal or better idea for staging the final.
Nikesh, let's also get to the fact that England, unfortunately, yet haven't made the final. And yet the attendance has been what it is. What do you make of the fact that there has been so much support, perhaps from the diaspora, is what I'm looking for? And if England were to make the finals, I think that would seal the case, wouldn't it? Because it's had fantastic support.
Yeah, of course. And it's not just, fans of, New Zealand who live in England or Australia or India or South Africa more recently who turn up to watch these matches. The English cricket-loving fan would, a day out at Lord's is a special thing, isn't it? And it's like one of the iconic sporting venues in the world. So obviously this year you would have seen lots of just generic cricket fans living in and around London or in England, travelling to Lord's just for a day out to watch a showpiece event like it is. So I think cricket is generally really, really well supported. The fact that England haven't made a final hasn't put off the local fans from going to watch. Obviously, if England were to make the final, then demand for tickets you'd expect would be a little bit higher. There might be, 5 days sold out as opposed to, a few empty seats here and there like we saw between Australia and South Africa. It's an interesting one, England's lack of success in the World Test Championship, because this whole Bazball era has been exciting to watch, but has been less successful in terms of the World Test Championship table. Although at the start of this new cycle, England, seem to have just pegged back their approach a little bit without losing the excitement that comes with playing good Test cricket. So it'd be interesting to see how the next cycle goes. In terms of having it in England, would you perhaps, Jim, look at, the next couple might be in England, they've hosted it really well, but would you look at options maybe to change the time of year where the World Test Championship is played and maybe have it on a rotation system? It could help out countries like, in the West Indies, maybe Sri Lanka, these countries which have really struggled for funds and finances in recent times?
Depends who's playing in the game, I think, as far as that's concerned. And how do you know? Um, Years, months in advance. No, I'm quite happy with June, July in England. They could even play in August, but they're probably up against some other fancy cricket competition in August, so they won't want to play then. Let's put it where it's going to work. I've been at the last two, and I thought they were outstanding. The losers may not have said that, but the fans did. That's the big thing about staging it in England. You're pretty much guaranteed to get a crowd, whoever's playing, as I see it, and that's the way it's been so far. So it's easy to say if you're an English cricket fan that Lords and the Oval are the centre of the universe, but it's perhaps a more accurate description when you've got a World Test Championship being played every 2 years.
Well, obviously, it's got to be in the northern hemisphere if it's in June or thereabouts. Can't be in in the winter in the southern hemisphere. But I was thinking maybe it'd be a great thing for some other associate nation or a lesser nation to host just this one World Test Championship. What a big thing it'll be to promote cricket in that area, whether it's Singapore or Malaysia or even the Middle East and many other such nations that do play a fair amount of cricket. And then I sort of thought to myself, maybe not, because they're all currently being fed on T20 cricket. That's what's that's what's attracting the crowds and the spectators and everything else. And I can't think of any country in the northern hemisphere, and Jim, you mentioned New Delhi as well, perhaps even India, where people will attend a test match as a neutral without really having any stake or being a partisan fan, except England, where it's such a fabulous tradition. There's so much heritage and legacy of the game. So maybe it just has to stay there because of that. You could promote cricket in one of these other nations by having the World Test Championship, but under the risk of it not being well attended. And then that promotion would fall a little flat, wouldn't it?
I mean, Jim, also coming out of the ICC's meeting in Singapore last week is the news that a working group has been set up to explore moving to a two-tier system in Test cricket, two divisions for the first time. Given there's new leadership at the top of the ICC and at Cricket Australia, does it feel almost inevitable that this is the road we're going down?
I hope not. Doesn't work. The lesser nations will play lesser tests. Simple as that. That's just the way the game is commercially, I think. I don't think there's much point in having promotion and relegation. I'd like to think teams like the West Indies might continue to turn up occasionally, and even Afghanistan, Ireland perhaps. So no, I think they should leave it alone. I really don't think having a two-tier and then Charo would be looking for the final of the second division. Where would we play that? New York or something? I don't know.
Well, that was another country on my mind, saying the US could possibly host a.
No,
And then
I don't like the idea of the two-tier. I'd leave it alone for now. I'd actually push out the WTC to 3 or 4 years cycle, not two. But there's obviously a commercial factor in that decision too. But no, I'd leave it alone.
Jim, you and I have discussed this whole two-tier thing on Stumped, threadbare. We bludgeoned it to death. But Nikesh, I'd be interested in your thoughts. What do you think? A top tier, bottom tier, playing everybody, then what does the lower tier do? Do they have a sort of a plate championship? And how do you see this whole thing?
Well, the only possible way that it could work is if there is promotion and relegation. And if you are India, England, or Australia, you're going to be against that idea, aren't you, of potentially being relegated and then not having those great series against your great rivals, which can make you a lot of money. So I think that's the thing that perhaps needs to be ironed out. You can understand, I guess, the theory from the ICC, but I agree it could just turn into a world where you've got these so-called lesser nations in Test cricket playing against each other in an endless cycle, and it's not going to be particularly interesting if you've not, got these big superstars coming and touring your country, or vice versa. If you're Sri Lanka and you're playing Afghanistan and Ireland and some of these other nations, Bangladesh perhaps, all year round, the West Indies, you're not going to attract a great deal of interest into Test cricket. So there's a lot that needs to be worked out if we are to go down this route. Maybe promotion and relegation could be the only thing that sees it work, but we shall wait and see what the ICC come up with and what they float in their next few meetings and whether or not we see this come to fruition in the next few years or not. But that's about all we've got time for on Stumped. Thanks to Jim Maxwell and Jaru Sharma, and please join us again next time.